another episode brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook and app. Deke, not only is it safe, but it is secure, and most importantly, baby, it is reliable. And for all the first-time users out there, if you use the promo code MOATS, you will receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. So, Deke, tell these people to stop wasting time. Like,
the time is now. It really is. It's the most valuable thing we have. Exactly.
So stop wasting it. Download the app, use the promo code, and get an opportunity to make a little money. Because this has been popping up. I want to talk about this before we transition to the division, just to recap the games and stuff.
Don't tell me. This is a hot topic, huh?
It's a hot topic, bro.
Can I throw some ice on this shit?
Nope. We're going to talk about it.
Can I throw some of that snow?
So we're about to talk. So there have been a lot of people asking in the comments about Deshaun Watson. How could we trade for Deshaun Watson? How could Deshaun Watson become a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization? And we did some research. I sent you, I did send you a picture of it, of the little, it's a little cap scenario, so you could just kind of see how it could work. Now, granted, I didn't give you the rest of the details of it, but there is a scenario in which the Pittsburgh Steelers could acquire Deshaun Watson. They could. And this is how it would work. So as it stands right now, Ben has a cap hit of $41 million. We already said that's the highest in the NFL. Yes, period. The highest in the NFL. Not Mahomes, not Watson, not Breeze, not Brady, none of these guys. Ben. We also said that, we didn't say this, but Deshaun Watson, he has a cap hit of $16 million. Okay. Ben Roethlisberger also has a cap hit of $22 million if he is cut or if he were to retire, right? So the theory is this. You could essentially negotiate a trade with the Texans. Obviously, you're going to have some form of multiple first-round draft picks, potentially a player. Now, some of the players that have been linked, they said Devin Bush potentially, or you could do a TJ Watt potentially, right? Either one of those guys with multiple first-round draft picks, whether it's two of them, something in that ballpark, because obviously Deshaun Watson, we already said young, top 5 quarterback under contract next, 4 years now, I think it is, because he signed his deal last year. So, yeah, you're getting a franchise quarterback for the next 10 plus years. So understandably so, the stakes are going to be high. The reason why it could work is this, though. If Ben, you either cut Ben, or if you were to trade Ben, or not trade Ben, if you were to cut Ben, his cap hit would be at $22 million. You make the trade for Watson, whatever other picks you have to give up to get him. Once he comes in, that $16 million cap hit goes on with the $22 million in dead money from releasing Ben. Cap hit becomes $38 million then. So you're less than the 41, but you have effectively taken care of your quarterback spot for the next 10 plus years, essentially. So that was the scenario. And honestly, man, people were I've seen back and forth. I know what, and I'll let you tell, how you feel about it. But from my perspective, man, I don't hate it. If we were gonna do it, and I don't think that the Steelers would, just because we typically said that's not their way, even though they have surprises of lately, I wouldn't be opposed to it, because you're gonna get a staple at quarterback. We talked about that mix between going from Tommy Maddox, right, to waiting to get to 7, and how, man, it kind of sucks at times, man. You get good play every once in a while, but it's not the same as having that elite quarterback, that franchise guy. And then we've been very fortunate here to have been for as long as we've had him. So now it's like, all right, do you run the risk of you let Ben finish this, year, 2 years, however this ending goes out, and then from there you play the game of quarterback roulette, hoping that you can find somebody, whether through free agency or through the draft? Or do you be a little bit more aggressive, and even though 7 probably does have a year or 2 left, you get this young guy who is a bona fide star and that is going to be here for the next 10 plus years. So that's why for me, it's like, I'm not opposed to it, because, man, you from the organizational standpoint, it's a big time move, right? You're going to have that quarterback position locked up, and we all know it's a quarterback driven league. We've seen how even with Ben, he can have less talent around him when he was in his prime years. We're talking, 13 through 17 time frame, right? When he was really just going crazy. It didn't matter who was around him. He could still produce at that type of level. So we know quarterback is more important than some of these other spots. So that's why for me, it's like, if he was available and you could make that thing happen, I'm open to it. Now, I understand losing a TJ Watt potentially, or losing a Devin Bush potentially, is a big deal. But let's be real. As much as we talk about defenders, edge rushers, linebackers, we all say that the number one position in this league that you got to have is a quarterback. Over an edge rusher, over a left tackle, over a receiver. If you don't have that franchise quarterback, you don't have anything. So that's why for me, I said, man, I would be open to it if they did do it. I wouldn't hate it. I'm not even gonna lie, I would like it. Because then I know we wouldn't have to suffer at any point in time for the next however many long with the quarterback spot, man.
I just don't think that fixes the problem, is my thing. I don't think necessarily just bringing over Deshaun Watson and plugging him in. I think if we get the offensive line and running back game right, we're Super Bowl contenders. I get what you're saying about long-term and everything, but then at what cost? Like you said, TJ Watt. I don't think TJ Watt necessarily gets it done. I think it's TJ Watt and a couple first-rounders.
Yeah, we say that.
So, nah, dude, I think we're good. I'm good with Ben, man. I think we're Super Bowl contenders next year if we bring Ben back. Like you said, I don't know how the hell they're going to work out the contract and all that type of stuff. But if Ben comes back, he's talking about wanting Juju back. It seems like he's probably going to be open to something.
He's going to have to be open to a lot.
So that's what I'm assuming. He's going to figure it out. We'll get Juju back. We'll get some of the core pieces back. It seems like he wants to run it back with this team. And I think if we do that, we draft offensive line, we draft running back, we'll be good, man.
But how long are we good, though?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't...
Because I feel like you're looking more short-term.
No, I get it.
And then after that, it's kind of whatever happens. Whereas I think from my perspective, there's more so smooth transition, sustained, high level of success, no drop-off.
I get that. But, if I'm coming from the standpoint, I think potentially 2 or 3 more years, then that's like a different story. If I think Ben could be playing at Deshaun, like they're at the same level, they're top 10 guys.
Now, do you think they're at the same level right now?
For the next, dude, yeah, I think going into next year, they're in the mix.
I think that's where we differ.
No, I understand. I understand someone may think differently, but I think Ben can have. Well, they did, in my opinion, they had very similar years. We talked about this.
The reason why I think it was different was because similar in terms of statistics, very different in terms of personnel. Very, very different in terms of personnel. The Steelers' offense, as bad as we want to talk about this offensive line, was still a good offense. The receivers were still top notch. The running game was inconsistent, but they still had pieces, way more pieces than that Texans offense. We
were worse though.
We weren't.
We were the worst running game in the league.
We were the worst running game, but we weren't the worst offense. And remember, when we talk about running game, it's statistics. People will say the Bills have a terrible running game. You watch the Bills play; they are not terrible running the ball. Statistically, the numbers are down, but they can still run the ball. So even though statistically, like I said, we definitely got to improve in our game, and it was bad. It wasn't solely based on just them not being able to run the ball. It was based on the philosophy of we would rather throw the ball 40, 50 times. As we saw, I mean, we almost threw the ball 70 times in a game, 68 times in one game. That's not all on the running game. That is a philosophy thing. So that's why for me, even with that, I still feel like our offense as a whole was way better than the Texans. The biggest difference why the Texans were able to do what they did was because of Deshaun Watson. If you flip-flop those quarterbacks, Ben doesn't have that type of season in that Texans offense. Deshaun Watson, I personally feel, has a better season than what he already had if he's in the Steelers offense. That's all I'm saying, man.
I don't know. That's debatable in my opinion.
See, I don't think it's debatable.
I don't know. You want to talk about they don't have a bad receiving core. They don't.
So which one of their receivers are you taking over Claypool?
Going forward, that's a different story.
No, this year,
this year, Will Fuller played pretty good.
Would you have taken him over Chase Claypool? Yes or no?
I don't know.
Seriously. Would you have taken him over Chase Claypool?
How we use Chase Claypool, I mean, the numbers aren't like that gaudy. But would you have taken him over Chase Claypool? Yes or no? I don't know, dude. I have to look at the stats and I have to look at that more. I'd have to look at that more. I just think the receiving core is comparable.
So Deontay Johnson, who? So you already used Will Fuller. So the next guy, who are you taking over Deontay Johnson?
Well, they got Brandon Cooks. I'm just saying it's comparable.
No. We're talking about this year, not a name. Cooks is the name. That's like saying they got David Johnson. David Johnson was the name. David Johnson was not playing at David Johnson level this year. So Brandon Cooks, name, cool, but are you really taking him this past season over Deontay Johnson? Yes or no?
I'd have to look at the stuff, dude. I'm just telling you.
The next one, Juju Smith-Schuster. Then who you taking over here? You gonna tell me QT next? That's what you going next?
No, I mean they have Randall Cobb. I'm just saying the receiving core is not that bad.
Did you just say Randall Cobb?
I'm not taking Randall Cobb over Juju.
Did you just say Randall Cobb?
I'm not taking Randall Cobb over Juju. I'm just saying they're comparable.
And then James Washington. Who's comparable? Who's comparable to James Washington?
I'm not sure. Who'd you say that dude?
The QT dude? That's who you going
I don't
with
know.
next?
I'm not. No,
Why
I'm
you want
not.
to lie to yourself like that?
I'm just saying they're comparable.
So if we're having this conversation and we're not talking about Ben versus Deshaun Watson, you're not even having this conversation about our receivers versus the Texans receivers. You've already spoken on our receivers numerous times being some of the best receiving groups in the league. That's what you said up here. You've talked about, even when we ranked the division and we said, man, I think I said the Bengals and the Browns, I thought had better receivers. You were the one coming up here talking about the Steelers.
That's what Ben coming back.
But now all of a sudden, you trying to sell me on Will Fuller, QT, and Randall Cobb. Are you for real?
No, I'm just saying if Ben was over there, I'm sure.
What are we talking about?
I'm just saying if Ben was over there, I'm sure he'd be able to make things work.
All I'm saying is Deshaun Watson would go insane in our offense, whereas Ben is going to struggle in that Texans offense. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know.
And it's not a debate. It's not a debate. We had the same conversation. We talked about Brady versus Russell Wilson. We said, man, if you took Russell and put him in Brady's offense, Russell was still cooked because, number one, he could move. We say even with the lack of weapons, even with the lack of offensive line, he's still good enough. Whereas Brady, he needs to be protected. He can't do these things. Deshaun Watson, man, he needed protection, and he still could get out of stuff. He's elusive, and he could extend plays and throw. And ultimately, that was his thing. We talked about, even when we broke him down this year, we said it was because of when he extends plays, that's when he makes, the defense pay. That's when he puts that pressure on you. Ben is not extending plays like that in that Texans offense, baby. I understand the nostalgia. I understand the love, but Ben is not that in 2020, 2021. He's not. So that's why, for me, I don't see how this is really a conversation. Like, we're not saying that Ben isn't a good quarterback. We're just simply saying if you flip-flop those two players, the productivity for one is going to drastically decrease and the productivity for the other is going to drastically increase. That's all.
I don't know. I see, that's my thing. That's what I said at the beginning. I just don't think if you plug Deshaun Watson in here, he's going to have these gaudy stats and stuff. I just don't know if that fixes the problem completely.
Wow.
That's my point. But then you talk about...
But so you think... So this, I guess, is the next thing I have then. Well, you know what? It makes sense because you still feel that Ben is better than Deshaun. I think Deshaun is better than Ben. It's not close right now. So that's why you say, oh, we just fixed O-line, running back, everything else is fine. I don't think that's going to fix the issues. I think you got to fix the quarterback part if you could upgrade it like that to a Deshaun Watson. If not, you're going to be the coach. Like we said last podcast. I mean, you'll be a good team. You'll compete, but you're not going to really be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, that's definitely how we differ, because I still see Ben as, one of these top 5, top 10 guys where you could lean on him.
Is Breeze a top 5 guy too right now?
I don't think so.
All right.
What do you mean? You're comparing Ben to Breeze? No.
Okay.
No way.
All right.
Ben's still got that arm talent, dude.
Okay.
We could agree to disagree on that.
Oh, okay. Whatever you say, man.
I think it's way different levels.
Okay.
Like Ben over Breeze and Rivers for sure.
Okay.
All right. And you go back to the whole thing at the beginning, though, about having pieces around and building a team and everything. I mean, losing TJ Watt and a couple first rounders, maybe even 3 first rounders.
That's for a franchise quarterback, I don't care.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. If that's what you're thinking,
you're talking about paying 40.
But it goes back to the thing, though. If you're trading for Deshaun Watson, then you're lessening the defense.
But this is what I'm asking.
And you're not fixing the offensive line and running game.
But if you stay with the $41 million, not only are you not upgrading that quarterback, but you still are going to have even more holes to fill because you can't address the things defensively in concert with the O-line and running back. So either way, the situation is going to be messed up. So now you're talking about having less pieces around an aging quarterback and expecting him to do more.
We'll see. Like we said with
that's
the contract.
What you're expecting.
No. Let's see what happens with the contract.
I
think if Ben comes back and if we can run it back for the most part, just upgrade the offensive line and running game.
I don't think.
I think we're contenders.
This is what I don't think you're understanding, how drastic of a cut he's going to have to take to do some of the things that you're speaking of. $41 million is a huge chunk of cap.
But that's the thing. That's not...
But listen, just hear me out. Just hear me out.
Okay.
Even, like I said, best case is what if you cut him. Best case scenario from a cap standpoint is $22 million. So if you're Ben and hey, you have to cut me to get it down to 22, I'm not taking anything less than 22 for my cap hit. Now, whatever they negotiate is still going to more than likely be over that 22 because he's still going to get compensated, right? He's still going to go out there and get paid. He's not going to play for free. He's not going to pay for $1 million. He's not going to play for $1 million. That's not Ben. So either way, the things that you keep speaking on where you're talking about multiple spots here, there, and there, it's still not going to be feasible. So like I said, at the end of the day, you're going to ask him to do more than what he was already doing this year with less offensively and defensively.
Are we sure about that, though?
I absolutely am sure about that, yes.
But less on offense, what does that mean? Is it just missing Juju, but still upgrading running game and offensive line?
But this is my question.
And then still keeping a great defense intact?
How are you upgrading running back and offensive line when you still got to talk about, from a money standpoint now, we're not even talking draft picks, just money standpoint, Mike Hilton, Cam Sutton, TJ Watt.
But wait, what do you mean? I'm talking offensive line, though.
I'm just saying, you talk about upgrading, right?
Yeah, upgrading could simply be through draft and bringing Dotson in.
Okay, so you can draft and bring Dotson in, right?
And then
either
draft
way,
running back.
but either way, you're potentially looking at least one. You're guaranteed to look at the left tackle that you're going to have to replace Al. That's already out there.
Mm-hmm.
Then from there, we already said some combination between center and guard, or potentially two guards, because Matt Fowler is also a guy that you're going to have to compensate if you wanted to return, right? So you're running out of cash flow. That's all I'm saying. Like those are multiple key spots on the offensive line that you're talking about replacing. Where are we getting all this from? How many draft picks are we using?
We got all of them, right?
I mean, you said that's okay. So center,
we've been hitting on drafts.
Center, guard, left tackle, guaranteed, right? You said running back. Okay, so that's 4 spots right there.
Why guard?
Well, what do you want to do with guard then?
Well, how much do we have to pay Fowler? We don't have to pay him more than like $3 million, right?
Either way, I'm simply asking is, are you keeping Fowler, or is Fowler gone? Or are we looking at 2 new guards, 1 new guard? What's your combination? Is DeCastro coming back? What's he doing?
That's the thing. I don't know. Do we cut those guys? Yeah. And that's what I think. Just upgrading the offensive line is maybe cutting Pouncey and DeCastro and then getting younger. So, I mean, that could maybe even clear up some cap space. I just think they'll be able to make it work, man.
I think that in terms of making it work and being successful are 2 different things. Making it work is just, well, technically, yeah, you can make it work with Ben under the $41 million. You're not going to be successful, though. Success versus making it work are 2 different things in this conversation. That's all I'm saying. So, sure, you could make it work. They'll find a way to have Ben out there and have a shell of a group, couple names here and there. But will that be a successful team? Will that be a Super Bowl contending team? It won't. I'm just letting you know it won't be.
All right, we'll see, man. We'll see. I think so. But I don't know if it's going to be shell. That's my thing. I don't think we're going to necessarily just have a shell of a team. I'm trying to figure out where this new money is coming from. If we can, for the most part, run it back, I really do think we're going to be contenders.
Because right now we're at least hoping that the cap will at least stay the same. Could go down, but we're hoping that it stays the same. Obviously, that's due to the pandemic, right? The revenues being down. So that's the other thing. We're making this assumption that, hey, you'll make this thing work with it staying as is. If it drops now, it becomes even more complicated. That's all I'm saying. So this thought process of this money, these draft picks, just this easy. I'm just like, all right, it's not enough.